Welcome back to Intentional Excellence. I'm your host, Candice Ruggiero. This January, we've been highlighting incredible men making a difference through our series, Purpose Driven Men Making a Difference. Each guest has shared inspiring stories of resilience, faith, and intentionality, leaving us with tools to create meaningful change in our lives and in our communities. Tonight's guest is no exception, and I'm thrilled to introduce Andy Morey. Andy Morey, and Andy is an intervention specialist whose dedication to his students and passion for education truly embodies intentional excellence. Let me share more about Andy. So Andy Morey is an also a gym enthusiast. He's a biker and a car builder. Andy is a man with big dreams and a work ethic to match. At school, he's affectionately known as the Undertaker, but don't be fooled by his towering height and strong build, because beneath his imposing presence is a kind and compassionate heart that students truly admire. Andy has a unique ability to connect with his students, earning their trust and respect as someone who genuinely cares about their success and well being. Andy, I want to welcome you to Intentional Excellence. Hi, Mr. Morey.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for.
I always call him Mr. Morey. It's like, call me Andy. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, just to give the viewers background, Mr. Mori or Andy and I worked in the same. He's still there, but we worked in the same school. Even not shared, like he was in and out of my classroom as an intervention specialist. So I'm all really thrilled to have Mr. Mori or Andy here with us tonight. Andy, do you have any other things that you want to share that I forgot to mention in the beginning?
I mean, you made me look like all that in a bag of chips, but uh,
Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. I meant every word.
oh, yeah, you're too kind. But I do love what I do, and I do have a lot of hobbies. She said gym enthusiast.
Hmm.
I joke around and say the gym is my therapy. So, but I am at the gym 5 days a week, every day after
Okay.
school, and yeah, so. And she talked about the Undertaker. Everywhere I go, I get asked if I'm the Undertaker. I often have a bandana on, and 6'5" and 250 pounds, and um, pretty strong for somebody my age. So, but
Well, can I share how? Okay, I want everyone to imagine this, right? This is how this is how I imagine Mr. Mori or Andy. I'm in my classroom. I'm facing a group of students, first graders, right? They're on the carpet sitting down and I'm facing them teaching. And my door is to my right. Here comes a 6'5"
yeah,
tall guy wearing tight fitted shirt with all his like muscles. And wait, you have tattoo, right?
I have 4 tattoos. Yeah,
With four tattoos and then like a ponytail. Just imagine the scene, him coming inside my classroom and we all stare at him. And then I remember the students calling him, oh my goodness, a giant. Because they were also tiny. All right, so that is the impression that Andy will leave you. He's probably the tallest man or the tallest person on campus. But as I introduce, he has such a good heart. You will find Mr. Mori. Oh my God, I have to stop calling you Mr. Mori. You'll find Andy in the hallways and during the bus dismissal. Kids running to him, giving him hugs.
yes.
That's how he connects with his students. No matter how old they are, they have a special connection with Mr. Mori because, like I said, don't be fooled with the build and the height. He's such a gentleman and a kind hearted soul. So I'm very happy to have you here with me. We're in my podcast,
Uh,
Andy.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start. Okay, so Andy, resilience is such an important part of overcoming obstacles and continuing to move forward even when times get rough and
Yes.
tough. Um, it is something we all need to cultivate, especially when we're faced with setbacks. And as an intervention specialist, I know you work with students' behavior daily, right? And both you and I have worked at the same school. And I know you're going to agree with me that it's a pretty tough school, but also has a wonderful community. A lot of the students come from migrant families,
Mhm.
and our school where I used to work and where Mr. Morey teaches, were a Title I school, and meaning it's a kind of grant offered to, how do I explain that? Title I, like more in need.
Lower income community. We have our demographics are 57% Hispanic, so we have a lot of migrant families. A lot of our we have a lot of students that don't even speak English; they only speak Spanish, and so we have to overcome that difficulty. And but it's more so just the economic status of the area. It's a lower income area. Unfortunately, often with lower income areas comes lower priority on education. And with that, we have a lot of students that struggle. And
Right.
a lot of students could do better, but they don't always get the family
So,
support that they would need from home. So there's a lot of hurdles. We have a lot of great families. We have a lot of families that work two, three jobs. The parents do, the dad does, the mom does. And,
right.
it's difficult. I mean, it's hard to raise a kid nowadays. And they just have some added level of difficulty, and unfortunately, that shows up in the area of education as well. So all those go into what makes our school a Title I school.
And let me add on top of what Andy mentioned, part of the challenges that we face because this is our population is just handling a lot of kids that show difficulties managing their behavior.
Yes.
So that's why he's called intervention specialist, because we see a lot of these behavior, unfortunately, with our students. For whatever reason they manifest that behavior, Mr. Morey's role is to help to support them manage this behavior so that they can become successful in the school on a day-to-day basis. And let me tell you, it's not an easy role because we're dealing with aggressive behavior, with defiance behavior. You want to help me more with what other behaviors we deal with? Students with autism.
Yes, we have autism, oppositional defiance disorder. We have kids that come from a lot of trauma. We have kids that have been adopted into families, but out of families that there was trauma. We have kids that have experienced physical abuse. We have kids that have experienced sexual abuse. We have kids
Right.
that have experienced neglect. I mean, the list can go on and on. And, and then we are doing our very best to try to teach them how to read, how to write,
Coping skills. Yeah.
how to do math, and it's like, and we're doing it, and our kids are making gains. I don't know, we're doing our very best that we can. We really are, and I think everybody's working very hard on that. Just a quick little story. We actually had, just to show what some of the families are. This was one family in particular. It's not necessarily a general trend across the school, but we actually had a fifth grader that would act up, misbehave, get into, he knew how far he could take it so that he could be suspended for the day, maybe
Wow.
days. And the reason that he did that, yes, he didn't like school. That's true. But the real reason he did it is because one day his dad OD'd on drugs in the front yard, and he was the one that was home and called 911 to come rescue his dad. And yeah, so he would try to act up and go home because he was so afraid that his dad
Right.
would OD on drugs again and nobody would be there to call 911. And so, I mean, This is
That's it's
the
heartbreaking.
this is the life that our kids live, and so
Right.
to be honest, reading, writing, and math are not high on their priority. Survival,
Right. It's
survival.
survival. It's like having food for breakfast, lunch, right? Having those snacks, having those interactions with actual kids, actual peers, and having a normal conversation, just
Yeah,
like what Andy mentioned. And most of the time, they act out. Sorry to say that word, but that's really how what they do because it's like hard for them to control these emotions because now in school there are rules, there are limitations, they're not forced, they're encouraged to learn things that they're not used when they're back home. That's why they manifest, they have these behaviors, right?
yeah. Another story, just quick story, is
Yeah.
we had two brothers that would go into the clinic at the end of school at dismissal, and they would pick up all the extra leftover breakfast or lunches that were there. Kids that come in tardy or whatnot, so the clinic would have the breakfast and lunches there for some of these kids, and they were going to pick up all the extra ones so that they could have something to eat at home when they went home that night. So,
Andy, I've worked in many school districts
mhm,
across different states, New York, Connecticut, and Florida. And I've all, because I've been all over, I've worked in schools with different levels,
right,
different social status. And you know what? When it, this particular school that we're talking about really hit me hard, especially during the end of the year. All right. I was there two end of the year moments, and like other schools, other students, when you tell them, oh, you do a countdown, 10 more days before school ends, or 15 more days before school ends. Like I will put a countdown on the blackboard. Most students
I know.
where I taught would be rejoicing, excited.
Yeah,
But you know what I noticed with our set of students? They were anxious, they were scared, they were sad. More behaviors were seen. You know why? I'm sure Andy knows. Because there's no more school for them. School for them is a safe place. It's a safe space for them where they can have food. They'll have snacks and they'll have a place to learn or a place to just simply relax. And you know what? I didn't even realize that because I was so used to working in other schools in other states wherein they look forward to summer, but not these kids. And that really like touched my heart when I realized that they were acting up because of that reason. That was big. That was a big realization for me.
you're right. And they, while I don't think there's any kid, it doesn't matter what school they go to, no kid will ever admit it, but kids love structure because structure
Yes.
is safe.
Yes.
They won't say, I need boundaries, give me boundaries, keep me from doing this or that. But kids need that because structure equals safety.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah,
And who gives them these structures? The teachers, right? Because I think it's probably the only place wherein they have rules, they have guidelines, they have directions, and it worked for a lot, but then for others, they're not used to it. Especially our migrant. When you talk about migrant, they move from home to homes, right?
they move from
Um, so just the fact that they don't have a stable place and then setting those rules, it's hard.
yeah.
That's really hard for a young kid, right?
Some of our migrant workers move state to state. They go where the jobs are. And so they'll be in Florida for 3 or 4 months and they'll be in South Carolina. Or we've had them go to California, we've had them go to Texas, and then they come back to Florida. And it's so, yeah.
Andy, can you share, because you know very well this community, can you share with our viewers a typical household of these kids? Like, I know it's like big families, they're all like in one house, like just a typical household, just to give them idea of, how these kids are living.
I think a typical household for the students at our school, not necessarily a typical household for all families in the town that
Right.
he was in, because there we have some affluent families.
Oh, yes, yes.
There are very large southern mansion houses in our town. Um, yeah, so we have that as well. But a lot of our students, they are in, and there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot
Yes.
of them
Yeah.
are in very cheap rental properties. A lot of them live in rundown trailers from the 1970s. There's no grass in the yard, dirt. There's junk everywhere. There's three dogs tied up to under the mobile home. The one student that I spoke about earlier, I've actually been to his house and I've delivered furniture to his house. I've delivered
Aw.
his house, but you'd walk into the house and you'd have to step over the hole at the front door because the front door leaked and they left it open a lot. So when it would rain, it rotted the wood out right there in front of the door. So you'd have to step over the hole at the front door. And the front gate, you kind of had to step over the gate because it was only on with one hinge. So you couldn't really open it. It just kind of sat there crooked and, just junk everywhere. And I mean, you know, I like
Heartbreaking.
I like building things mechanical, but I don't have them, stacked, five high outside of my house. But so yeah, uh,
You simply can't help but feel um not bad, like I don't want to use the word bad, just
there's
you just want to simply have a relationship with these students.
there's a compassion there, and then yes,
Yeah, that's it. Talaga, empathy and compassion. If you and I believe that it takes a certain heart, skill, personality for a teacher to be placed in a Title One school, because it's not easy.
no,
It's not easy working in a Title One school, and if you don't have, like what Andy said, compassion, the heart, or even flexibility, you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong school,
yeah,
because these kids need a teacher who understands their needs and who can just simply give them a hug or understand them if they're having a bad day.
yeah,
That's what this school needs: teachers with compassion and teachers with a heart.
yeah. And like you said earlier, I mean, I joke around. I say the only reason I stay in education is for the free hugs, but I
Oh,
I get dozens of hugs every single day, from kindergarten all the way up through fifth graders. I got
yes, I see them. Oh my goodness. They all, like, when they see you.
the boys; they're too cool, so they just fist bump you or high five. But the I don't know, the younger boys, kindergarten, first, second grade, they'll give you a hug. But
Right.
and it just I'm not going to deny a kid a hug. I'm careful about it, of course, because
Of
I'm
course, yes. We all do. We have to be careful
yeah,
because of, like, the laws
but
and the limitations, but a hug, you
but I
know that feeling of when you give a hug, Mr. Mori,
yeah.
Andy, you know.
And I don't have it this year, but I used to have bus duty, and I would greet every child every single day by name when they got off the bus.
Oh.
I'm so glad you're here today. Today's going to be awesome, and it's like, and I'd say every one of their names as they got off the bus. And I don't know, I think that means something because everybody, it doesn't matter what age, if you're one or 101, everybody
Right.
likes to be noticed. You know,
Yes.
and it's just they like being recognized. And so I think when you call them by name, I think
They know they're special. They know they're valued. They're part of something, right?
valued, I think is a good word. Yeah, yeah,
And that initial interaction, they probably had a bad day, something probably happened in, in at home, maybe there's no breakfast, but that initial interaction that they have with you as soon as they step out of the bus can be life changing. It could change their day. It could turn a bad mood or a negative incident into something positive.
yeah. And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it actually makes my job throughout the day easier
Yes.
when I have to go in and take care of a discipline issue because they know me. They know that I'm fair. They know that I'm
Right.
reasonable, and they know that I really do love them. I mean, they're my kids, and
Yes.
nobody better mess with them. And in fact, some of them they kind of joke around. They're like, "You're my school dad." I'm like, "That
Oh, that's That's a compliment, Andy. That's
So
a compliment.
yeah,
And I want to share with you and the audience, the viewers, a typical day working in a classroom of a Title One school, because I've always been working. Most of my teaching career is working in a title school. Although I've worked in different, social, economic type of school, but most part of my teaching career really is Title One because I love the population. So let me explain to everyone what it is, what behavior looks like in a typical Title One school. So, all right. So I was explaining to them that I just want to explain what we're dealing with when it comes to behavior. All right. So you're talking about um students trashing the classroom, hitting, spitting, scratching, really aggressive behavior as young as kindergarten.
as young as
Right? So,
that
right? Am I correct? And it doesn't change until they go to fifth grade. Some of them still have those behaviors.
that is true.
And I've learned to work around the behavior. Mr. Morey knows how I teach. Andy knows how I teach. I the last classroom that I was with, a lot of behaviors. But you know what? You know what changed it? I don't know. It's the rules that you talked about. It's the classroom management, the rules, and the genuine concern for the students. And you know what? They dreaded my classroom in the beginning because I had a lot of kids who had behavior from the last year. But you know what? My room, I don't know. You could count the behavior. I feel that if a teacher is really genuinely concerned, genuinely has this compassion and empathy with students, I think there's behaviors are always going to be, you can modify that because you know the kids so well that you can intervene before a behavior happens. So, be a teacher's role in managing these behaviors is crucial. What do you think of that, Mr. Morey?
I think you covered that very well. I would just add one more word to that. I mean, you talked about compassion and having the rules and boundaries and the guidelines, expectations. But one more thing that I would put with that, and I taught in a EBD, which is Emotional Behavioral Disabled Classroom, for 9 years. I taught third, fourth, and fifth grade. So I had all in one classroom. I had third, fourth, and fifth grade emotional behavioral disabled students with emotional behavioral disabilities. I had third, fourth, and fifth grade all in one classroom for 2 years. And then for the next 7 years, I was at two different schools and I had kindergarten, first, and second grade, again, all in one self contained classroom. And yeah, I have not been in a emotional behavioral disabled classroom since 2018. So what's
Can
that?
you identify what makes it an EBD class? Just give me specifics. What do others like? What are the type of kids that we deal with if they are in this specific program?
Well, again, we're dealing with kids that come from a lot of trauma. We're dealing with kids that don't know how to
So how
use.
do they manifest it in the behavior wise?
Yeah, so they don't know how to communicate, and so that comes out in hitting, screaming, throwing desks or furniture
Yeah.
upstairs, and just really, I don't want to. I mean, they don't know, but there's
They
really
yes.
some know, but us others don't know because they've never been taught. There's not a respect for themselves or for adults or for
Yes.
anybody, and so they are we at the school that I work at, we talked a lot about emotional states of the mind, and we talked about the executive state, and that's where you and I are right now in our executive state. You have the
Right.
emotional state where you're going to maybe lash out irrationally with words, and then you have the survival state of your mind, and a lot of our kids live in that survival state of mind, and there's just they're just trying to survive, and
Yes.
they don't know. They haven't been taught. And again, our parents work hard. Parenting is hard. I get that. But there's not the teaching of there's not the nurturing. A lot of it doesn't. There's not a lot of nurturing on how to use your words or handle situations
Right.
because a lot of our parents are in that survival or in,
Right. Themselves, right?
they don't often act. There's, I mean, I'm sure there's times that they do, but there's a lot of times where they don't even act in their executive state
Right.
because they don't know.
Right.
And it's like, again, people are dealing with all kinds of stuff, and I'm not, I don't judge because
Right.
I haven't walked in their shoes. You know, it's like, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And that's why um just these schools need staff members, teachers who have actual concern, genuine love, and just compassion with the students. Those are what these kids need when they're in school. Not just to learn, not just for to learn how to read and write, to have connections, to have relationships with adults. That means a lot for them. I truly believe that.
right back.
So, Andy, making a difference is often a driving force for people with big dreams and for someone with a sense of purpose. I believe that the ways that we impact others, especially in roles like yours, can create ripple effects we may not even see. So, I want to find out, Andy, how do you aim to make an impact in the lives of the people you work with? Or what drives you to create that lasting legacy? Or it doesn't have to be professional, even like with the people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, even your community.
I love that word ripple effect. So
Yes.
let me just rewind my life about, let's see, my son's 32. So let me just rewind 32 years. 32 years ago, actually, this spring will be 33 years ago. I started at, actually, my wife and I, we started at a, a facility for adjudicated delinquent youth. And
Wow.
we were, well, not me, but she was 8 months pregnant when we started there, and our parents said, what, you're going to do what? And so we actually worked with these adjudicated delinquent youth, anywhere from ages, most of our kids were about 15 to 18, but we did have some younger ones around 13, that were placed there by the courts for various infractions. Nothing,
Mm-hmm.
we, this facility did not take like arsonists or murderers or rape or things like that. But a lot of our kids were um, assault and battery, breaking and entering, car thieves. We had a lot of car thieves, more crimes like that. Um, so anyway, my point is that we did that for 13 years before
Wow.
Florida. That was in Western Pennsylvania, and we are still in contact with some of those students through Facebook. Some of them call us. The one kid, he refers to us as his second mom and dad. He said, in fact,
Oh,
more, you're more my mom and dad than what my mom and dad were. In fact, if I'm not going to tell you his story, but if I did and then had a bunch of kids line up, he'd be the one that you would pick for this story. I mean, it was pretty tragic. And
yes.
um, the what he did to end up in the facility. And but he went home. He married his pastor's daughter.
Okay.
He's a teacher and a baseball coach at a school that he works at up north. And and they were on their way to a cruise where they were leaving out of like Miami or somewhere down there.
Mhm.
He actually stopped here on the way so that we could see the grandkids because he has five
Oh,
twins and then three other kids. So, but so that was pretty cool.
yes,
So yeah, we've been in contact. But here's the thing. Here's where that ripple effect comes in. We made a difference in his life, but because not that I'm anything great, but because we made a difference in his life, made
yes,
a difference in his children's life. And so that's how that ripple goes.
yes.
And you
Hmm.
know how far that ripple's going to go. I'd like to think that eventually I've put out enough ripples that they're all going to start
Yes.
coming rippling back onto me. You know, I'm sure that I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
that
look at it. Like when you talked about the ripple, you're here doing something kind, and you have, let's say, 10 or 15 of your students, and even just one third of that ripple moves to those one third of students, and those one third moves it and shares it to the next group. Do you know how much kindness and compassion the world will have just because of that one kindness that you showed? It's just amazing what we can do when we have goodness in our hearts, right?
yeah, and I know not everybody's like me, but there are specific moments. I'm sure there's other people that are like me, but not everybody, which is good. You probably don't want to be like me, but I'm just
Why not? Hey, why not?
being silly. But there are specific moments in my life, in my childhood, that I specifically remember how somebody made me feel. And I mean, a lot of them are good memories, you know, how somebody said something, how somebody did something. I may not remember anything else about that person, anything else that they said, anything else that we did, but I remember that one moment. And so
Which is,
that's really my hope and my prayer that when I work with kids that
you're leaving an impact.
something I say will be that one moment that they will remember for the rest of their life. And,
Isn't that amazing if you can do that?
and as our kids get older and they have kids, they have jobs, then that ripple effect, that seed I planted in them will grow,
Right.
and they can plant a seed in somebody else. They can put that ripple on with somebody else. So yeah.
I love just what you said, Andy. I resonate with what you said because for me, making an impact is one of my greatest rewards of working in education. I've explained to a lot of people, I've worked in the field of education for 30 years, and every single year, Andy, I know I've made an impact on children I've taught, whether it's the way they learn, how they see themselves, or even the connection we build. And I truly believe that I've had a bond with every student who enters my classroom. And that's just who I am. Like, as soon as you enter my classroom, you're my child. I will give my life for you when it comes to like safety, or like nowadays we're going through these issues with, like, sad to say, the gun violence. Like, I would offer my life to any of my students who are in my classroom. And I feel that um when it comes to teaching, I see the impact of my teaching even now. Like students from my time, because I was a school owner in the Philippines, that's 1992. Like, and then I've been teaching in Connecticut and New York. You know what, Andy? They would reach out to me, like what you said, in social media. And sometimes I won't even recognize them anymore because they're like, they have their own families, right? And the fact that they're looking for you on social media, and that's when you know you've made an impact, when they can share one story that they shared with you when you guys were still together. That's when you know really that you're making a difference in these kids' life. I have this story. This is one of my favorite story that I shared during my keynote talk. All right, so I used to teach in Connecticut, and there's this girl. She's from Guatemala. They were in pre-K at that time. She came in the middle of, she almost the end of the school year, Andy, right? So like 2 months before school ended. And she didn't know how to speak English. And she was going to kindergarten in 2 months. And she was already older for her age. So I'm like, if she's gonna be kept behind, she'll just going to lose a lot of skills because she was ready when it comes to age, to kindergarten, but she was so far behind, didn't know how to speak English. But the moment she looked into my eyes, I'm like, I need to help this kid, this beautiful girl. So for 2 months, I asked the parents to send the child to school 30 minutes earlier. And at the end of the day too, like I would spend 10, 15 minutes just working on her. Like we would work on her alphabet, her numbers, the way she wrote. And you know what? She did it. She made it. And during the graduation, I said something beautiful, because you know what, like sometimes you give them rewards. I said something beautiful about this girl, her determination and her willingness to learn. And I looked at, like, over, I was on the stage giving the awards. I saw her family crying, sobbing. Okay. And I'm talking about like parents who didn't know how to speak English. They were actually cleaners. And but they wanted their child to learn. And then at the end of the ceremony, they came up to me with a bouquet of flowers and an envelope. All right. And they were saying, teacher, teacher, open, open. I'm like, okay, all right, thank you. No, no, open now, open now. So I opened the card, opened it. They gave me $300.
Wow.
$300 from their hard earned money.
I was going to
And
say,
I'm like, I can't take this. No, no, this is too much. I was giving it back. And oh my God, like their face were like, no, no, teacher, no, thank you, thank you. Like you can just feel the appreciation. And honestly, it's not because it's $300, Andy. It's because it came from their hearts. I felt it. Imagine, or giving that amount. That was the biggest amount I've ever received. And it's not the money, it's the value. It's the value of what how I got that. And I know it's long, but a year after, I moved to another school. And then during the orientation, that's a year after, I saw the same family during orientation in the middle of the gym. And I'm like, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Cruz. And they were like, teacher, teacher. And I'm like, you're here, you're here. It was another school in another school, this in the same school district. And you know what he said in the middle of the gym? Because of you, because of you. Oh
yeah,
my gosh, like I will never forget that moment, Andy.
right.
Until now I would cry whenever I would remember that. And it's one of, I share it in one of my keynotes speaking about making an impact.
Okay.
That's how you know when you make an impact.
And so, like you said, it wasn't the value of the money; it was the value behind the money. It was the value
Yes.
that gave the money is what made that so special. All right. So, just little side note:
Yes.
you cannot tell any more stories like that because you ruined my tough guy image.
Hey, you're the guy. It's my turn, the guy and the woman. So we're good. We're even.
I'm just teasing.
No.
So,
I
yeah,
love my students. I love teaching. I don't think you can ever take that away from me. Like it's you won't probably believe it. A lot of teachers probably want to leave the profession and like resign early, retire early. I miss teaching. Believe it or not, I miss teaching.
I believe because you were. I like you said, I'm an intervention specialist, so I go into a lot of classrooms. I see a lot of teaching styles, some great, some good, some maybe not, some that are that are not so good. But you were one of the greats, and so um,
Thank you.
you obviously poured everything you had into your students, and so yeah. And there's other ones at the school that I think would pretty much pretty close equal you, but they don't all. And I mean, everybody's different. And
Yeah,
and
I love that. Everybody's different.
I mean, let's face it, teaching gets more and more difficult every year. With
Yeah.
new guidelines and new expectations, and just the population in general.
Yes.
We have kids raising kids. We have teenage girls at 15. In fact, we had one at our school. Not last year, but 2 years ago, and he was what, 7 years old, but his mom was only 22.
Wow.
Yeah, so she had him at 15, and it's like, and can it be done? Yes. And does that mean she's going to be a bad mother? No, that doesn't mean that at all. I'm just saying she was a child still herself. You know,
Right, right.
children raising children, and this just it can work. It's not the best situation. So
And of course, there's going to be a lot of challenges along the way because it's not, like you said, raising kids already as a mom, my age is already hard.
yeah,
I'm saying, imagine a child raising a child. That for sure will have more challenges to deal with. It's a tough situation, and that's I don't think it's only once. I'm sure we have more situations like that
I
in
mean,
a different level.
the stories I have told tonight seem like they may be one in a million or a secluded story. There are
But
stories
it happens.
there are stories like this or worse that are happening all across the United States.
Yes.
In our rural schools, in our inner city schools, in our suburb schools, there's a lot of things happening. Now there's a lot of good things happening too. I don't want to make it seem like
Right. Yes.
I don't want to paint a gloom and doom picture, but I mean the reality is there's a lot of struggles that are very real, that are
And you can't say it only happens in Title One school. It's everywhere.
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
No matter what socioeconomic status that school is, it happens everywhere.
yeah.
We're just sharing this because this is where we came from. This is where we taught, right? But I'm sure it happens everywhere, like you said. We're not saying it only happens to this group
No,
of kids.
nope, it's not.
No.
It's trauma
It's
is
part of life. I guess that's a society nowadays.
unfortunately trauma is no respecter of persons. It can hit any kind of family, whether you're
Right.
affluential or if you're extreme poverty.
Right. I agree.
There's a form of trauma that can hit all of those and everyone in between. So but
Totally agree with you.
so,
Yeah. All right. So Andy, let's move on to the next topic.
okay.
I introduce you as somebody with big dreams because I know you've shared with me that you have a big dream, like other than what you do. Like all of us have our own, big dreams, right? And big dreams can be exciting, but they can also come with challenges. And when you pursue those dreams, you require your vision, your dedication, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you pursue those dreams, like you don't really know, you have to accept everything that may happen while pursuing that dream. So my question for you, Andy, is like, what are some of the big dreams that inspire you, and how do you stay focused on turning those dreams into reality?
It's going to sound totally opposite of what I do right now, but
Okay.
my big dream is actually to have a ranch. And what I want on this ranch is a barn event venue for weddings, for corporate get-togethers, whatever. Whatever people need a large event venue for, that is a barn has a barn, look to it.
Yeah.
I want to have cows on it. I grew up on a
Aw.
dairy farm in upstate New York, and so, um, yeah, I just that's what I want to do. And so that sounds completely contrary to maybe everything I've just said. But here's the thing: um, while there are professions that pay less than teaching, let's face it, teaching,
Yeah.
policemen, uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, medical field, we don't get paid a lot. We don't
Right.
we don't get bonuses like you might in a corporate world. $10,000 bonus, that sounds incredible. Not going to see it.
Yeah. Doesn't happen in the field of education. Nope.
With this dream, the potential to earn a considerable more amount of money is quite possible. I'm not doing it so that I can become rich. I'm not doing it so that I can leave, $1 million inheritance for my kids. Although that would be awesome, but that's not the drive
Your
behind.
your reason, your drive, yes.
Drive behind it is so that we can have more money to give more money. So
Yes.
we want
Love
to
that.
do ministries and function, organizations around the world. I'm in contact with people in Africa. I'm in contact with people in the Philippines and Hong Kong.
Wow.
I also want to, or we also want to be able to make an impact in our community. And so we've
Right.
all talked about our demographics, our kids and how they live and where they live and some of the trauma that's gone on there. With that comes a lack of opportunities.
Yes.
So what I would like to do is I would like to be able to offer scholarships for baseball, for football, for soccer, for basketball, whatever sport they want. I'm not just um, doing that for sports, but if you're interested in the theater or the arts, I want to be able to have scholarships for
Wow.
these students. And so, it's like, well, I can't afford that. Listen, I got you. I'm paying your entry
Yes.
fee and I'm buying your equipment. All you have to do is show up for practice and do your very best. And so, you want to talk about a ripple effect? That'll change a
It's
person.
someone's life.
And I've coached football. I've coached soccer in the past, and I believe, and it's not the only thing. I think theater can do it. I think music can do it as
Yes.
well. But
Art, music.
my experience is football and soccer, and so for coaching, and I believe that sports teaches children a lot about life. It teaches you how to handle failure. It teaches you how to handle success. It teaches you how to work as a
Love
team. It
it.
teaches you how to follow directions. It teaches you how to show up,
Yes.
practice, come to the games. I mean, these are life skills that they will need and use for the rest of their life. And so I'm a firm believer that
Sports.
that the theater, that music, that out extracurricular activities like that in the community can boost a child from here to
Yes.
here. And it's like I firmly believe that, and so that's something that we can do. Now, can I do a scholarship now? I can, but I might only be able to do it for one or two kids. I want to
Yes.
make an impact in the community. So not for me, not for my name. I don't need my name in lights anywhere or Andy Morey parade downtown. But I want to make a difference in people's lives, and that's one way that I feel like I can do that. So
And you know what? We might have viewers out there who will resonate with what you're saying and just decide to like help you. I mean, it's such a wonderful cause that you're trying to build. And you know what? You don't know. There might be just someone out there who can give you the chance. They can give you the break. We never know. We never know, right? But you need to put it out there. If you didn't mention that, nobody would ever know that that's your dream.
I agree. I agree. And so yeah. So
And let me add, sports, the art, the music teaches a person hard work, determination, perseverance, creativity, all recipes of life.
yeah,
So that little passion that you're teaching them, or let me add passion, that little skill, that little hobby that you're trying to teach them, really is mold them a student, a child to become the best person that they can be,
yeah,
right? So it's just I wish that you can fulfill those dreams because it sounds wonderful.
yeah.
and
I hope so too. So
and Andy knows my journey as the career change. So right now, because like we work together in a school, and then I all of a sudden I was starting to show in social media. I know you saw the difference. Like now, being a keynote speaker and podcast host has been such a fulfilling part of my journey because it really allows me to have a voice, like a voice that can reach a wider audience worldwide.
they make a
So
difference.
I Yeah, it does. And as I work to grow my following on social media, Andy, I make sure to connect with people, you know what, from all over the world.
Yeah,
I'm not choosing a particular group of people. You know why? Because like you, I have a big dream too. And one of my biggest dream, I did mention this to I think one or two of my podcasts, is really to inspire and impact people. So right now, I'm doing a love show. It's Candice Ruggiero Love Speaks because I feel that at this moment, that is what we lack. A lot of people lack love, love for themselves, love for others, and global compassion. So that's one of my dreams, like really reaching a big audience to spread love. And also, like this podcast that I'm doing, hey, look, I am featuring a person like Andy who has big dreams. And if he can fulfill or like put this dream into fruition, you know how much people he can change. This is who I feature in my show. And this is why I come up with this show because I want people in my show making a difference, not just in their own lives, but in the lives of others. And can I share with you my ultimate dream, Andy?
Yeah, please do.
I want to become a philanthropist. Once I am now able, I want to really dedicate a portion of what I earn to creating a non for profit organization, just like you, focused on literacy, because I'm a teacher,
Right.
but this is all over the world. I don't know if you're aware, I recently put up a business. Well, this is different because I still need to earn in order to put up that non for profit. So I put up a global education consulting business, and my aim is simply to uplift education worldwide
Hmm.
because I just have this passion of teaching inside me, and I feel that I'm in the good position. I have two master's degree. I've been teaching for 30 years that I can really share and inspire the world of education worldwide.
I,
And I don't know. I feel that I want kids to have access to education, whether having books in their homes or computer software or having an internet and I can teach and they can just play it. Any way that I can promote literacy in any way that I can. That is my ultimate dream, just like you. And I feel that big dreams take courage and determination, but when they're fueled with purpose, they can truly change the world. That's
yes,
my ultimate dream, just like you.
I agree 110%. I grew up in a home where my mother was a teacher. She taught in the same town where I'm from in upstate New York for 38 years.
Oh, we're both New Yorkers, huh?
Well, I'm from the real part of New York where there's dairy farms.
Okay, I'm from Westchester, which is like
Yeah,
Bill Clinton was my neighbor.
I'm from Shenango County. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, so which probably means nothing to anybody. But anyway,
No, I'm sure. No way. Of course it is. It's good.
oh, I'd say they're like big deal, Shenango County. We don't. Anyway, I grew up in a home with a teacher. My mom taught for 38 years. She knows it's a very small town, farming community, like 1,400 people in my town. She knows everybody because she taught all of them.
Okay.
She goes. In fact, funny story. We went in a couple years ago because she's older. She's actually 85 now. She's actually here in Florida with me right now at my.
Okay.
She's been here for 3 weeks, and it's never long enough. But she'll fly back.
Aw.
But anyway, 85 years old. But we went into the lawyer's office a few years ago just to put everything in my name and my sister's name because when that time comes, hopefully
Yeah.
20 years from now, because I'll never be ready for that day. But it'll be easier. Anyway, we go in there and she talks to the lawyer and she goes, Chris, do you remember who your third grade teacher was? And he goes, no. She goes, it was me, Chris. It was me.
Oh, your mom remembered. Oh,
So we walk out. Now, mind you, small town, like think of
wow. Wow.
Mayberry RFD with the buildings. Like I'm not kidding you when I say the buildings have dates on them that are from the early 1800s in my town. And so we walk out and the door's not even shut. And she goes, he's still just as squirrely as he was in third grade.
She remembered.
Mom, the door's not even shut yet. She goes, I don't care. I'm 83 years old. What's he going to do? And I'm like, so yeah.
Isn't that amazing how teachers remember their students?
So all that to say that we grew up in a house full of books. We read. She babysat my three of my cousins. I have 21 cousins, but she babysat three of them in the summertime because anyway, that's what she did. And every Monday we would go uptown to the library and we would pick our books. And now that I'm older, I realize she just needed some quiet time. But there was a time every day in the afternoon in the summertime where we would find a quiet place on the couch, in the chair, on the floor somewhere, and read our books. And yeah, I mean, a lot of my cousins are very successful. I have a lot of cousins that are teachers as well. But those three cousins, specifically, myself and my sister, are we're all successful members of society.
Yes.
And by successful, I don't mean we're millionaires or
Yes.
have our own large corporations, but we're how do you say
Financially stable.
we're
Can I
good.
say that?
We're financially stable. We have good families. I mean, our kids are amazing. You know, it's like yeah. I
It's
think
all because of what your mom did. Just exposed you to literacy, made sure that there's learning happening in your household, and that's big.
we were learning all summer.
Aww.
We'd have a baking day every week in the summer. One day was a baking day. It wasn't just baking. We were learning measurements and how to
Yes.
and how to read recipes, and you know it was
And
like
just think about the connection, the relationship that's blooming because of all these activities that you're learning. That's priceless.
yeah. And so what you're doing by trying to put books and education into households around the world, not just the United States, is huge. I mean, you want to talk about a ripple effect.
Andy, let's go back to how many books did we throw out just last school year because of whatever reason?
I don't even want to say, but
Those are knowledge that we can give them. Like I said, like there's so many ways
that,
that I want to do it, but just putting books in their hands, that's powerful.
that actually made me very sick because um, I mean, they were pallets with these boxes set up on the top
It
of the
was sad.
that were, I kid you not, were every bit of 4 feet high, filled to the top with books.
He's not Andy is not joking when he describes that.
These books were being thrown away and or destroyed, and I'm like, oh, there's so much. Yeah, I mean, people around the world would do anything to have one of those books, and we're just throwing them away.
One school that threw away, like you said, pallets of book can actually teach an entire province, an entire, not just community. Like I'm talking about communities. That's how much learning we threw away.
Forget,
And it's such a, it was a sad event
forget,
as a teacher for me. I
forget.
can never forget that. Throwing away learning.
Forget community. I mean, the school that you and I taught in together is not a very big school. We had pallets. Put that across.
Pallets of books.
Put that across the county, and I'm thinking, forget community. I'm thinking you could teach a whole developing country
Yes.
with those books. I mean, literally.
No, I'll find a way. Even if those books were thrown out, I will still find a way. I will find a way
Yeah.
to put learning in these kids. Who it's really heavy what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Candace is reaching them in, putting them in bags while nobody's looking, and taking them home. So
Who?
you. No, I'm just being silly, but yeah,
No, I couldn't because it's like what am I gonna use it for?
yeah,
At that time, like, we were forced to throw it away, you
yeah.
know?
No, that's a huge and very very noble dream. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, yes, we do have dreams, Andy, but setbacks are such a natural part of pursuing big dreams. Setbacks test us, they teach us, and ultimately shape us into who we're meant to be, right? But I feel that they also teach us valuable lessons about perseverance. All these setbacks that we were faced with. Andy, have you faced any significant setback while working toward your goal? It could be the goal that you mentioned, or it could be another goal. And how did you navigate those challenges? And maybe what lessons did you learn along the way?
Well, I learned that the first lesson I learned is not everything happens when I think it should.
Okay.
I mean, that's one lesson. I've had this dream for a number of years now, and I've done different things to try to pursue. uh, trying to pursue it. I mean, one of the biggest setbacks is property. And so, in order
Or
to
do you say property or poverty?
property,
Pro-
so
property.
property, land.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, it's very difficult to come by. And, working for the school system, I don't have a lot of extra money to go
Yes.
put on a piece of property. So, I have looked to uh, everything from borrow, people that have property but aren't using it. Hey, could I?
Right.
I'm looking into lease, but leases are pretty expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are big setbacks, but
Yes.
still pushing forward. I'm learning everything that I can. Even right now, currently, well, not right now because I'm here, but I mean, my daughter and I are we are taking a business starting class together because she has also has big dreams that she wants to start her own business, and so we are actually taking a it's a business startup class is what it is.
Wow.
9 weeks, 3 hours on a Tuesday night. So we dedicate that our time to that on a Tuesday night, and so yeah, I'm not just sitting back hoping that something
Yes.
happens. I mean, we're working towards that. Um, yes, like I said, it's frustrating because I feel like in my infinite wisdom, which is pretty minute, but in my
Don't say that.
in my ideas, in my idea, this should have happened 5 years ago.
Yes.
I'm still not there. And like you said, there's a reason. There's something. There's obviously something that I still need to learn before
Yes.
doors open. And so I'm trying. I'm knocking on these doors, trying to learn what I can, take what knowledge I can get, and yeah. So
So, anyone out there, this is shared all over social media, different platforms. If there is one person there who resonates with this goal, we have Miss Andy Morey here, who is welcome for any support, partnership support to make this dream a reality. And like I said, just bringing yourself out there. You never know. You'll never know
oh,
who you can touch with what you just shared about your dreams.
I mean
You
that
never know.
that would be amazing. In fact, uh, in my prayers, praying about this, I've heard in my prayers, that this is not going to happen the way that I think it will. Because
Yes, sometimes the least expected circumstance.
I can come up with all kinds of scenarios of how this would be a great idea, how this would happen, but but yeah, I've just
You'll
been,
never know. You'll just wake up one day and like your dream is shifted to another path, but it's the same purpose. You know what I mean? You never know. And I wish you good luck. I really hope that in the future you get that. But your story is really reminds me that even like toughest moments, there's always growth and purpose.
yeah,
And I just wanted to share with you that one thing I've learned in my journey is that blessings and setbacks often go hand in hand. We know that. So right now, I feel so blessed. Like 2024, Andy, was a transformative year for me. You were there when my husband passed away. You knew what I went through. That was that year. You started coming in my room, and you knew like I was gone for a while. And
can I,
honestly,
can I
I
just
needed.
can I just say one thing?
Yes, of course.
I remember that, and you took some time off, understandably so. I mean, that was a huge loss, traumatic loss. But when you came back, I was so impressed with how strong you came back, and you stepped right back in like you had never left, like it was the weekend. You had just come in on a Monday after the weekend. You were incredible.
Thank you.
I remember that. So yeah,
And I heard one of them said, "Oh my goodness, your class changed." They said something not nice. They were like this. I'm like, "What?" Like they were doing everything. They were throwing everything. They were like not being nice to the teachers. Like but then when I stepped in, I didn't see that. As soon as I stepped in, they were so flexible. They knew who was the lead.
Yeah.
They knew who was the boss.
I remember because whatever word they used, they
You came to me and said, certain student, she changed. And so you kind of triggered me, or you challenged me. You mentioned a student to me, but then she went back the way I left her.
yeah. Well, I remember because whatever word that person used to describe your classroom, they probably weren't far off. They probably were. I remember thinking, this is going to take weeks to get this classroom back, manageable again. And to be honest, I think it was 2 or 3 days, and it may not have even been that long, but it definitely wasn't any longer than that. And I'm like, came in and rolled like she just came in on a Monday after the weekend, and you'd been gone for weeks.
For 5 weeks, yeah. I don't know. I think it's just a teacher of me. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
I think the kids miss me because, like I said, they're like my kids. They're like my own children. You know, they felt safe because I was back. You know.
And again, we're going back to that word of expectations, boundaries, and consistency.
Yes,
You
you
know,
need that for a good classroom. You need those things.
yeah,
All right, so let me share with you. Now, you know my journey, right? You know, you were teasing me. I know you even came to me like one time, "Hey, don't be a like something like, "Hey, don't change, blah blah blah," like during my journey because I started doing this while I was still in school. But now I'm all out. You know that. I'm all out. I left the my career, 30 years of being a teacher, and my ultimate goal of being an assistant principal. You know, I'm in an assistant principal pool in Florida, right? I gave it all up because of this dream. And you know what? Um, this dream came to me not because of I wanted it in the beginning. Do you believe in divine calling?
I do.
This calling for me, this career change is a divine calling for me. And I had to step away for like I said, 30 years of education, the dream of becoming an assistant principal. Andy, when God calls you to do something, you have to drop everything and take a leap of faith. This is what exactly happened to me. Never in my life would I have imagined becoming a keynote speaker. Big change. But here's my challenge though. Like, I know I've been doing this for 5 months, right? And I feel like I'm enjoying the journey. I think I'm setting myself up, and I feel that I am so close to reaching my mission and my purpose. But here's my setback. We all have setback, right? After 30 years, this is the very first year that I have not been receiving a paycheck. All right? And I took a leap of faith. For 5 months, I haven't been getting a paycheck. All right. And I'm a single provider now. So finances has become a setback for me. And I guess in any business, right? But I didn't care. Whatever savings I had, I invested on courses. I invested on software. I invested on marketing, on sponsored ad. Because you know what? Because God called me to do it. I know it sounds like, oh my God, like really, but it is what it is. I'm doing what I'm doing because I was asked to take a leap of faith. Was it scary? Absolutely. I was paying bills without earning anything. I invested on all of these things with my savings. But you know what? When God leads you, you just have to follow. And you know what? I know that now I've set myself up. I'm ready. Like I've built businesses. I'm all over social media. I feel that I have my live show, I have my podcast, and I'm getting sort of like known in the field of the speaking industry. Now, year 2025, I feel that this is my year to reap the reward of my hard work. I believe that in my heart. Sometimes you have to go through challenges for you in order for you to reach your goal.
Yes.
That's exactly how I feel. And I'm still scared. No, that fear is gone because I know that I've set myself up. And you saw my transformation, right, Andy? I wasn't like this before.
I remember when you said you were leaving, and you were very nervous about it because you're like, what if it doesn't work?
You're
And
right.
what if I fail? And those are legitimate
Concerns.
concerns, worries, thoughts. emotions, feelings, whatever, however you want to label that, they are very legitimate, and I
Yes.
validate all of those. But here you are, and you're making it. You're making it.
Thank you.
You're doing it. You're making it work. And so I told you the other day that I'm a little jealous of you because I like to be able to, but I'm also very proud of you because you have been absolutely incredible with this. So
Thank you.
yeah,
And it's not fame, it's not money that I'm doing this. It's making an impact. Don't
no,
forget that. That's my purpose.
no, your
I'm
heart.
sharing that with you. And I feel that if that's your purpose in life, everything is possible because you're not after money, you're not after fame, you actually want to change lives. And that's my purpose. That this is what I do on a daily basis. How can I change someone? Someone. And yeah, I love this journey. That's the important thing too. Whenever you aim for your dream, you have to enjoy the journey. And I'm loving it so much. And I know the finances will come. I know the rewards will come because you're on the right path. You're not really greedy that you want money right away. No, you have to build yourself. Like it's not that easy when you're building a business and stuff like that, right? And like I said, I'm not here for finances, for fame. I really simply want to make a difference in the world. In the world, that's what I do.
Well, I've heard it said, before that you do everything that you can in the natural, and then you pray that God puts a super on it and makes it supernatural. And so, yeah, so you do everything you can, and
Yes.
wait for Him to do what He does.
His work. Yeah, right? All right. So I hate to end this, but this is the last question that I always ask whoever is in front of me or whoever gets in my podcast. So, Andy, you said a lot of powerful, inspiring words or concepts. But if there is one concept or a topic or a quote that you want to leave the audience or viewers with, when they know that, oh, that podcast, this is what resonated with me after hearing Andy Morey. What would that be?
Oh, you're gonna bring something out that I try to hide in myself.
No, I told you this is it for you. You need to let others know what's inside you. Somebody's going to find you.
Wait till you hear this, and don't judge me. I know I'm an educator, but I grew up. Okay, maybe not fully to like swamp people or something, but I grew up redneck American. All right. And so one of the phrases that we use, that I like to use, is, and this is where, don't judge me on my English and my grammar,
Yeah,
but
I might not know it. I'm not so familiar with like that concept.
so this phrase that I use is, ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Ain't no. And so when you just got told that you got to do all this extra work, you got to have this report done by yesterday, and it's Friday, and it's like, this is going to have to wait till Monday. And so you're just sitting there and you're like, all right, breathe, breathe. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the phrase that gets me through is, ain't no thing but a chicken wing. And if you think about it, how big is a chicken
Yes.
wing? And so I think lots of times we make deals, we make a big deal out of something that may not be that big of a deal. It
Yes.
may be different, it may be something that we didn't really want to do, but I just sit back and go, all right, this is very frustrating. I'm frustrated right now. I may be a little bit mad, I may be a little bit upset about it. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. And I just breathe and I say, you can do this. Because
Yes.
so far in my life, are you ready for this one? So far in my life, I made it through 100% of my worst days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Resilient. Your resilience.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been some really bad days.
Who
And
doesn't go through life like that? Everybody does.
exactly. But, the situation that you may be, who's ever watching this, that you may be in
Yes.
now, you have already made it through 100%
Yes.
of your worst days because you are here watching this podcast. And so,
Right.
um, like I said, I know it's a silly little phrase, ain't no thing but a chicken wing, but um, If you can just,
It's
it's how I talk to myself. It's how I talk. Not that I'm going to do anything silly, but it's how I talk myself
yes.
off the ledge, so to speak. It's like I don't want to do this. I'm frustrated. It's like God. In fact, I actually have. I work with a small group of second grade boys, and I kid you not, it's like herding cats.
I can imagine. I can. Those were my students last year.
Yeah, they are everywhere. And in fact, one of them is your student. One of them that was your student. He'll get frustrated and he'll look at me and go, "Ain't no thing but a chicken wing, right?" Or, got it. Or
See? Oh, see, you're making an impact. You're leaving an impression.
my, my redneck American
Okay.
colloquialisms, But uh,
Hey, sometimes it's the simple things in life that resonates, that has meaning and purpose and passion. You know what I mean? Those little phrases mean a lot.
let me just put a little side note in there. I know redneck doesn't have a good connotation or a good thought in a lot of people. I really just mean I grew up country. I grew up working on a dairy farm. We were outside. Uh, we went
Simplicity? Can I
simply,
say that?
I don't know, yeah, whatever. But I mean, you know, yeah.
Well,
So,
one thing I know is I've learned to eat uh what do you call that? Biscuits with gravy.
oh, yeah,
That was a first for me. I'm a New Yorker, so that was a first for me. There's a lot of firsts for me, but you know what? It grows on you. That culture or the people, it grows on you. Very nice people.
if you haven't had biscuits and gravy, I mean, you haven't really lived yet.
I love it though. I love it.
Oh, yeah, but
Well,
but it's good.
again, if there's anyone out there, Andy's dream to come up with a ranch, not just for the animals, not just for it's for a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
You know what? So if this resonates with anyone, feel free to contact me and I will reach out definitely to Andy. All right, Andy, before we leave, do you have any parting words or anything that you want to add before we leave, before we wrap up?
No, thank you for making me a part of your podcast. Like I said, I think that you have been absolutely amazing in this. I love how you are pursuing your dream, uh,
Thank you.
and I think this series, where I'm honored that I don't even know what other men you have in your lineup here, whatever, but I'm honored to be, part of that and in that lineup. And so, just thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I hope that my heart and compassion showed through tonight. And yeah, it I'm teaching right now is very frustrating. It's very difficult, but I love what I do, and yeah. So
Well, I just want to say that when I came up with this series, you were in my mind. Like you were one of those men that I wanted to reach out with specifically. So just means that you are making a difference in your daily work as a intervention specialist. And I'm just glad that we were able to get to know you more because there's a deeper side to Mr. Morey than just the Undertaker. A lot of like dreams, a lot of like kindness and compassion. And you know what? The world needs to know. The
I
world needs to know that.
I joke. I tell people what I do. People, they'll say, "Oh, are you the Undertaker?" No, no, I'm not. And I'm on my phone. Otherwise, I'd pick up my phone and show you a side by side picture because I look very much like him.
Oh my God! You should see Mr. Morey, Andy. Whoa, like whoa, buff. Like
But I get asked all the time, and then I tell people, I said, well, now you have to guess what I really do for a living, and nobody ever guesses. You know, and
Yeah,
so
but you know what? Your presence alone, because you're so tall and built and just fit, those kids look up to you. They probably want to be with, like you when you're older. Like, I mean, just strong and brave. That's how they look. That's how they look. They look at you, you
well,
know?
I tell them what I do, and they say, "Oh, they probably listen to you. They're afraid of you." And I'm like, "Well,
It could be, maybe.
yeah."
No, you have such a gentle heart. I mean, you have both.
But
You know,
I tell people, I say I'm WWE on the outside, which is the World Wrestling.
tough. Yeah.
I said, I said I'm WWE on the outside, but I'm Build a Bear on the inside.
Oh, yeah, so true. That's a perfect description of you, and I agree with you with that. All right, so thank you so much, Andy, for sharing your heart, your story, and your wisdom with us tonight. Your journey is such a powerful reminder of the importance of resilience, intentionality, and just making a difference in the lives of others. And to our listeners, remember that every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow. Stay intentional, stay resilient, and keep striving for excellence in all that you do. Again, this is Candice Ruggiero, and I'm the host of Candice Ruggiero Love Speaks. I recently launched Novada. It's a global education connection firm where I continue to inspire students and educators globally. And you can learn more about me through my website at Candice, www.candiceruggiero.com. I talk on intentionality, authenticity, leadership, teacher empowerment, and fighting burnout. And connect with me in all my social media platforms, Linktree/Candice Ruggiero, and learn more about what my goal is in life. All right. And I guess, again, thank you, Andy. Very nice to have you here and nice to see you again. And to the viewers, thank you for all your support. Have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Bye.